Joe Volpe, publisher of the Corriere Canadese, North America's only Italian-language daily newspaper, on behalf of Go Live TV and Corriere Media Group with the comment of the day. It appears on page 2 of the Corriere Canadese. So here's the comment of the day. Because immigration is an important issue, we're going to focus on immigration Canada style. So, the comment is, of course, the huffing and puffing of Hussen. It's so much smoke and mirrors. For those of you who don't know what that means, of course, is the old magic trick. Put in lots of smoke, lots of mirrors, and nobody knows what's going on. Here's the issue. Good governments are normally distinguished by their sense of vision, maintaining unity of purpose, efficiency, and defensible policies related to growth. Yes, sound fiscal management of the nation's balance sheet is always and remains always a priority. If it were the only or even the most important of priorities and issues determining favorability extended towards any government, then by everybody's account, Paul Martin's government would surely still be in power. Why? 9 straight balanced budgets, a legacy of surpluses, and a debt reduction of 25% during his tenure as finance minister and then prime minister. That being said, the most impactful policy initiative for Canada and other Western democracies, whether in Europe or here in North America, is immigration. Here, Canada seems to be stumbling around in the dark recesses of ignorance and indifference. The current minister, Ahmed Hussen, a former irregular entrant into Canada, would appear to have parked his compassion for fellow man at the door once he received his permanent residency. By any analysis of his term in office, his leadership is marked by a distinct adherence to the business of, and I quote, process and service delivery, end of quote, to the exclusion of any other consideration. In other words, immigration issues are dealt with as talking points approaches to themes that may or may not elicit the emotional responses associated with cultivating political support or drawing political differentiation. In other words, this is what we're like, the other guys are worse. Last week, for example, Minister Hussen made a big deal of his announcement in the House of Commons that the government was extending its previously announced 5-year immigration plan by 1 year. Was there a point to all this fanfare? On the surface, it gave the government the opportunity to extol the values of immigration to the economy, to the maintenance of pension benefits for retirees, for the survivability of smaller communities dependent on an inflow of human capital in an era of declining birth rates. We agree with all of that. It also allowed the minister to double down on Canada's commitment to accommodate refugees as a show of its sensitivity to international obligations. How nauseous. The government's citizenship and immigration website admits that it is incapable, one should read unwilling, of delivering timely service to the applicants for entry into Canada. Now remember, the government is not recruiting potential immigrants. It is merely receiving and processing applications. Now, how tough can that be? They recruit low-hanging fruit, students and migrant workers with immediate return to their sponsors. Their partners are provincial governments, post-secondary institutions, and farmers' groups. There are some exceptions, high schools also. Meanwhile, other employers, real or potential, are put through the rigorous and time-consuming processes of labor market impact assessments that do little more than encourage both employers and employees to seek immediate, non-conventional remedies to social and economic necessities. They use an irregular approach to entry. Minister Hussen would understand what that means. They become undocumented ghost workers who show up on a job, always on the run from the government trolls at the CBSA, the Canadian Border Service Agencies. There are over 1 million such people in Canada. Now, has Hussen concerned himself with the foregone remittances to the national treasury that the regularization of this cohort could materialize? In other words, the taxes that they could pay? Has he acknowledged the precarious position of the thousands of students if his colleague Goodale and the CBSA were to sweep into elementary schools of the GTA and remove kids and their parents? Probably not. He coaxed another caucus colleague, Peter Fonseca, to introduce a motion in the House instructing the House Committee on Human Resources to study the matter. Ironically, outside the House, he admitted that he is being sued for already having made some sort of commitment to the regularization of undocumented workers, and then broken that commitment. How his announcement of the increase in the annual numbers alleviates the problem of the million-plus undocumented workers is anybody's guess. It is also a poor example of Canada's vaunted compassion to leave in the lurch hundreds of thousands of people living in Canada and gainfully employed, but without status. It's even worse planning to ignore the underground economy and its dynamics one's inattention fosters. For Go Live TV, Corriere Media Group, and Corriere Canadese, this is Joe Volpe, encouraging you to follow us on all the social media or online at Corriere.com, and to stay tuned for our commentary in Italian and then subsequently in Portuguese. Thank you.